Hey guys, Hu Sheng here. Welcome to my interactive series where we're going to be watching a game I've played and we're going to be going through it sort of as if you guys were playing the game. And at certain key periods, I'm going to pause the game, ask you guys what we think our opponent is doing, and maybe also ask you guys what kind of reaction we should begin. Okay, so our probe arrives. I'll pause it here. And you guys should know whether or not there's something that is important here or not. Like, did we scout something yet or not? And this is a pylon scout. So already, this isn't really any info because the drone would be coming down if it was a hatch first. So we haven't quite picked up on anything yet. But at this point, it's a little bit suspicious. There's no drone coming, even checking that we are blocking or not. Sometimes they'll come down here and see that your probe's here and then they can run to the third base, but in this case there wasn't even a drone checking. So we know that he's going for an earlier pool. But there's a lot of options actually. There's a 12 pool, there's like a 14 pool with or without the gas, and there's also some later pools that are like kind of macro but not really, like a 16 or 17 pool. Let's see if we can get any other info. Okay, right here we've actually picked up some nice info already about which pool it is. So let me give you three options. Do you think it's a 12 pool? Do you think it's a 14 pool? Or do you think it's a 16 pool? I know it seems like there's no info here. I'm not counting the drones, if any of you think I'm that try-hard at counting every single one of these. No way. There's some easier info here that I'm picking up on, and that is the eggs. So I see triple egg in production, and if you think about it logically, it doesn't really make sense for a Zerg to be making 3 drones at the same time, because that would slow down their production. So the only thing it can really be here is some Zerglings. So we already know the pool is complete without even seeing it. And so therefore this is a 12 pool. But we can just confirm that the pool is over here and finished as well. I'm also picking up on no gas here. No gas is pretty instructive. If he had a gas, what would that mean? Is he more or less likely to be aggressive here? If he has a gas. Less likely, right? Because if he's not taking this gas, he can't really be getting any Zergling speed or a Baneling nest right away, and so he's going to be making a couple Zerglings for pressure, but then he's going to be expanding. So at this point, we know he's 12 pooling, we know he's going for some early aggression, and I'm going to be going through my 12 pool reaction. If you don't know what that is, I have a full video on it, like really in depth, like 30 minutes with a bunch of examples and super ironed out details. I'll link that above, I guess. And you guys can check that out if you struggle versus this build. But basically, we are going to chrono boost a couple of zealots with a 2-gate setup. And then we're going to leave the probe here to prevent him from coming in. Let me just lower the sound a little bit. Okay. So you can see he's doing a very good job here of pressuring my cybercore on the right. And then he's leaving a couple Zerglings over here in case I try to run out too far and he can trap me. So it's definitely a micro battle here. Here I actually let this zealot get caught on purpose, but it was a little bit early. And the reason I did that is because the second zealot was finishing. So sometimes you can kind of bait them into going after your zealot and then kill a bunch of Zergling. So that was an on-purpose tactic, but it didn't play out. It's not the end of the world though. We're trading very well against these Zerglings. And here I actually had a moment to save the second zealot anyways. And now we're going into some adepts. Expanding. Normal stuff basically. You can see we're at a little bit of a worker advantage. And we're also going to have this counterattack with these adepts. Now, at this point, I was going to play this very safe, this game. Sometimes what I'll do is just run these straight across. And you could probably do that here. But one of my own personal flaws is just getting a little bit too aggressive a lot of the time. So this game in particular, I was actually trying to play over safe so I don't throw. Because that's one of my main things, is just, you know, getting ahead early game against strong players and then, you know, making things too precise where I mess up. And so, yeah, we're just playing super safe here. Getting the Stalker first, getting some shields on the Zealot, and then going for the counterattack. But okay, so the Adept comes through, and we're obviously playing for some kills here. Recall to get out. There's kind of some info here, but it's pretty normal to see this where there's not too many worker yet. So there's not really any indication right now that he's doing an all-in. So we go home, and yeah, we can kind of just macro up from this position. There's nothing to look for at this moment. So I'm going to be going for a really standard Stargate follow-up, and we're going to be over and taking our third base. I think for some people this might feel like it's quite greedy, but it's actually very safe as long as you have good setup. So like make sure your unit's in the wall, obviously, make sure you have a nice wall, and then since we're going for an Oracle, if he goes for like Zergling attack, then we'll have we'll be able to use that against the attack and be fine. And it's worth pointing out too that you don't need to be afraid of something like a roach push, because if you remember earlier, we saw that he had no gas. And so it's not really possible for him to have that much money to do that. At least not a very, I mean, right as we left, if he took a gas, he could make like a couple roaches, you know, like 5 roaches or something, but it's not scary. It's just not a good build. Okay, so we get the Oracle. We've got this nice little pylon Nexus wall. That's actually really critical. If you don't do that, then you're very susceptible to Zergling pushes. So make sure you have this set up here. And our Oracle is going to get some more info at this point. Okay, so notice my movement, right? Like, what am I looking for here? Normally, I think people might just run straight for the natural and kill a bunch of workers. And that, I mean, that's what most pro gamers are doing. But they're also doing something else while they do that. And I think most people sub-GM should be not focusing on killing workers. They should be focused on getting info about what the opponent's doing. So what am I looking for here? I just went this way. So I'm looking for a hatchery, right? To see if he's expanded. And that's not the only location for a hatchery. So you're going to see me check for the other side as well. So we check some drones. And then we check this base. Okay, so we see no third base, right? So what's going on? Should we have seen a third base here? Is it normal to not have a third base? Which builds are likely coming up now? So if our opponent was doing like a normal macro build, we definitely should have seen a third here. Now he did open 12 pool, but you know, that doesn't delay your third this much, right? Like if you're playing 12 pool and we're in a macro game, you can see that I've already have my third. So he should definitely have his if he's trying to, you know, drone up and just play like a very standard game. So he's doing something, right? He's doing some sort of tech or all in, I guess. So at this point, we want to start looking for what exactly he's doing, which tech he's going for. So I'm going to take my oracles, and we're just going to run through his base. Notice that even at this MMR, I really don't care about harassing him too much. Like, we could kill some drones here maybe, but it's more important to figure out what he's doing. Okay, so we see some clues here. There's 2 clues. One of the clues is the Evo chamber, and one of the clues is the layer. So he could be going like roaches here. He could be going hydras, I suppose. But when I see this, I'm thinking he's probably going for like, well, actually, let's keep playing. There's another clue that I'm picking up on here in a second, over on this side that tells me what I think he's doing. So I go through his base. We see an Evo and a layer, and I see 1 gas. So maybe you guys can take a second and think about what he's probably doing here. So low gas, so he's probably not going like Mutalisk, let's say, right? Because if you're gonna go Mutalisk, you would probably go fast layer, no Evo, and then you would take a lot of gas. Like you would have these 3 already. Same thing if you wanted to do like a really fast roach build. So to me, this screams out that he's just going for like a Ling speed upgrade. because that's the only thing that you can really make if you have this many minerals.
We meet our fate.
Also, we're going to see his third base. So now we know that he's probably going for Zerglings, and he's taking a third base, so he's probably not all-inning us. And so I can already kind of anticipate what's coming. So yeah, so he's probably going to be doing some big Zergling attack on our third, right? Is what's most likely. Let's fast forward this period a little bit. I'm just going to be doing like a very basic setup with a bunch of gates. There's another key moment coming up though. So we're clearing some creep. We're looking around. It's got a couple queens here. That's pretty normal. But these oracles are going to rotate in here and they're going to pick up some really nice info at his third base. So maybe think about right now what you would expect to see here if he was playing a normal macro game. And let's keep playing. Okay, so I come in here. There's a spore going down, which makes sense. We're playing oracles, but is this different from what you expected to see? For me, it's like an oh fuck moment. Like, whoa, what's going on here? This is the opposite of what I expected to see. Because there's literally no drones. So I'm going to just tag this. And that's going to give me a little more info. Like maybe there was a drone transfer, right? Maybe there's like 20 drones coming here. But we don't see any drones, right? And our early game went pretty well, but it didn't go this well. You know, we didn't send the adepts across and kill like 12 drones. So at this point, you guys should know what he's up to. And you're going to see me make some hard reactions here. So what do you think he's going for? It's cats. So it's bound to be a little crazy. And don't forget, we saw some stuff over here as well. Like we saw the Evo and the layer. So we know what he got the Evo for. But what did he get the layer for? Alright. So you probably didn't guess this because it's off the walls batshit crazy. But he's going for like a Queen Ling attack. Right? He's getting the layer for the Dropper Lord speed and being able to pick them up. And he's going for the Evo for the Ling upgrade. So what am I doing back here? Let's go back a sec. Just so you guys can see the production tab at this point. So this is slightly before we scouted it.
The enemy has discovered us.
Here's where we scout him. And you'll notice like right here, I'm going to cut probes and I'm going to focus more on building units. So right at that point, I'm like, okay, we gotta start reacting to this. Let's warp in some units immediately and just prioritize those. And then we can also maybe add some extra defense, right? Like normally I would not get any of this stuff. I would probably be going for a fourth actually, really fast. But since he has no workers, we can really react hard to this info. Throw down a lot of cannon, you know, prioritize the units, not be making workers, that kind of thing. Okay, let's go back to my vision without the production tab. And let's see how this plays out. You can also see him kind of confirming some info here, right? So I flew over here. There's no fourth base. That's really confirming for me that he's crazy all in. A little bit of splitting micro. And we can see his queens pop out. And because we knew what he was doing, this is a really easy hold. And now our position is just completely winning all of a sudden. And if you remember earlier, I said that one of my goals this game was to play incredibly safe. So the normal thing I would do in this position is just go counterattack. And that's probably good, honestly. But just to make sure we don't lose, like have a 100% chance of winning, I'm going to play this really slow. So I'm just going to take a fourth base and continue massing units. And then with my oracles, I'm going to be looking for some more info. So here we get some info. We see a fourth. So what do you guys think he's doing here? Like, should we definitely attack him now, or you know, how do we know what level he's macroing at? Should we base this on the hatcheries, or should we base it on something else that Zerg produces? For me, this hatchery is like kind of indicative that he's macroing, but it's not a very strong sign, because if Zerg wants to continue all-inning you here, they can easily throw down a hatch and then just keep making units. So for me, what I want to see is more drones. No base over here. So we haven't seen any more drones, and we've also, I mean, we've seen the hatch, but we just killed it. So he's like really still quite aggressive. You can even see here, like, he doesn't have the gases. And so, yeah, he doesn't have a very high drone count relative to us. Maybe take a guess how many drones you think he has right now. I guess I could take a guess too. I think he's on like, well, actually, I wonder if it counts the ones he's making. Let me guess the ones he doesn't have. Like currently mining. I'm thinking he has like 50. Maybe. Yeah, I think he's got like 2 gases here. So what would that be? 32, 38, 16, 56? Let's see what he actually has. So he's got, I'm going to minus the ones in production, I think. So whatever he has here, minus 7. 52. Okay, I was pretty close. 52. So he's got a very, very low drone count. And so because of that, we can play this very passive, and it's totally fine. It's ultra safe, but it's totally fine. Okay, still trying to pick up some info. We see that he's making some units too, so he's obviously very scared of our counterattack. And this kind of puts him on a clock, because now his economy is so bad that he basically has to all in us, in my opinion. So we can just chill here. There's no pressure to attack him. I'm just going to continue building like a pretty basic comp too. Like you see me getting a Robo Bay at the natural for Disruptor, since he's making Roach. But, you know, I'm not going carrier here. I'm not going for like a ton of tech. I'm basically just building more of what we already have, because there's no real reason, like we're not forced to teching up. And this is a much safer way of playing it, because we have the maximum amount of units. And so it's much harder to throw the game. He still has no fourth. So I'm still just playing very patient. Again, this isn't necessary, but it's one of my weaknesses. So I think it's a good thing to do. Let me fast forward a little bit here.
Engaging the enemy.
Actually, let's look at this part. I thought there was no more questions I want to ask you guys, but this is a good thing to look at. So I was worried about one thing right now before I did this scout that I'm not worried about after. So if you just imagine what we've seen him produce here, he hasn't really made a lot of gas units. So there's one unit in particular that I was thinking he might go for that we could lose to, potentially. So for me, that was the Mutalisk. I'm thinking, okay, it might be going Mutas here just because we haven't really seen any Ravagers. We've only seen like a couple Roach. And he could have taken all these gases when we weren't looking. So I'm running the Hallucinated Phoenix through here. Make sure you pay attention to the movement of the buildings too, because that tells you a lot. Right here especially, I'm seeing something that tells me a lot of info. So what kind of composition do you guys think he's going for? For me, it's pretty clear right now that he's going for like a Hydraling Bane. He's got the Hydra den. I mean, he's been making Ling upgrades before. And we also see a Bane nest that's wiggling, so he's getting the Bane speed. So he's basically going for like Hydraling Bane. Alright. At this point, we're maxed out, so I think I'm going to pull the trigger soon, if not already. And we're going to go for a big attack on his 4th base here that we scout. Here we go. And I mean, if you look at the supplies, it's insane how far ahead we are against a Zerg player. So this should be pretty much game over. We don't really need to do anything crazy in this engagement. Just don't run like all our zealots into the Banes, basically. You can see here, he's playing this pretty intelligently in his position. Like, he's kind of screwed, but at the same time, he's trying to maximize his comeback potential here. But yeah, you can see here, he really doesn't have enough units. We haven't even warped in during this battle. So it's not really even as close as it looks here. We've got 2,000 in the bank. All we really needed to do here was like kill this base and we would still be winning. But yeah, with such a big lead, we can pretty much end the game. And I think that's pretty much it. Maybe you guys want to watch the final battle, but I hope you liked this video. If you got some questions in the comments, feel free to shoot me those. And if you want some coaching, check out my website, hushengcoaching.com. And as always, we would love to see you guys in the Discord. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the last battle, and I will see you in the next one.